the Stoic foundation of unbreakable love. In a world overflowing with fast emotions, endless distractions, and fragile egos, relationships have never been more tested. We chase connection, yet fear vulnerability. We crave love, yet resist accountability. And in the middle of this chaos, men and women often find themselves lost, unsure how to truly understand, trust, and support each other. But what if the answer isn't new? What if the key to a powerful, lasting relationship was forged over 2,000 years ago? Welcome to the world of Stoicism, a philosophy that, when properly understood, doesn't kill emotion, it purifies it. A Stoic doesn't run from love. A Stoic brings strength, clarity, and virtue into love. And that's what makes all the difference. Stoicism isn't about coldness, it's about control. It isn't about detachment, it's about depth. And it isn't about domination, it's about discipline. When a man or woman embraces Stoic principles, when they live by virtue, not emotion, they become trustworthy, reliable, peaceful. And it is only in the presence of peace that real connection can grow. In this video, we will explore the Stoic wisdom that builds strong relationships, not just by avoiding drama, but by cultivating something far more powerful: respect, mutual growth, and emotional sovereignty. We'll break down the mindset that makes men dependable and deeply respected, the traits that help women feel safe, honored, and understood, how to stop chasing perfect partners and instead become worthy partners, the Stoic approach to conflict, boundaries, communication, and love. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." So what thoughts are coloring your relationship? Are they reactive, bitter, entitled? Or are they wise, patient, and anchored in principle? Seneca reminds us, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. How often do our relationships break not because of real harm, but because of our lack of emotional mastery? Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life." In a strong relationship, both partners must be free, not from each other, but free within themselves. Free from insecurity. Free from ego. Free to love from a place of strength, not desperation. This is the Stoic path to love. Clear mind. Steady heart. Noble actions. No need to control. No need to impress. Only the daily choice to show up as your highest self, for your partner and for your own peace. This video is not for those who want surface-level tips or dating tricks. It's for those who want to build something unbreakable. Not because it's easy, but because it's founded on truth. So whether you're a man looking to become more grounded, or a woman seeking clarity in chaos, this is your call. To rise above emotional games and step into real strength. Real presence. Real love. Let's begin. Emotional ownership, the first pillar of Stoic love. The Stoics taught one unshakable truth: you cannot control others, only yourself. And in relationships, this isn't just wisdom, it's survival. If two people are constantly trying to change, fix, or manage each other's emotions, the relationship becomes a battleground. But when both take full responsibility for their own inner world, something extraordinary happens. Peace enters the space between them. Welcome to the first pillar of Stoic love, emotional ownership. The root of relationship chaos. Most relationship pain doesn't come from betrayal or lies. It comes from unmet expectations, unconscious reactions, and blaming the other person for how we feel. You make me feel this way. You should fix my mood. It's your job to make me happy. These are emotional habits rooted in dependency, not strength. Stoicism flips that narrative. Epictetus wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." A Stoic knows that the storm outside is less dangerous than the storm within, and that no one else is responsible for your inner state. From reaction to response. In relationships, you will be tested. You will feel anger, jealousy, disappointment. But what separates ordinary relationships from strong, Stoic ones is this: how you respond. A reactive partner blames. A Stoic partner pauses, reflects, then chooses a response rooted in virtue. Seneca advised, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." That applies to relationships tenfold. When you take emotional ownership, you don't deny feelings, you discipline them. You feel without exploding. You express without attacking. You set boundaries without needing revenge. Two whole people, not two halves. The idea of "you complete me" might sound romantic, but it's deeply unhealthy. A Stoic relationship is not made of two incomplete souls clinging to each other for balance. It's made of two individuals who are complete on their own, but stronger together. Marcus Aurelius said, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up, if you will ever dig." If each partner tends to their own garden, cultivating self-awareness, healing their own wounds, pursuing their own growth, then the relationship becomes fertile ground for something real. Otherwise, love becomes codependency dressed up as passion. Emotional ownership builds trust. Nothing is more attractive, calming, and powerful than a partner who can hold space for their emotions without losing control. When you take responsibility for your reactions, you argue less. You listen more. You create safety, not tension. You build respect, not fear. A partner who blames constantly is exhausting. A partner who owns their emotions is liberating to be around. This is the power of Stoic love. It doesn't just feel good, it creates a stable emotional environment where real intimacy can grow. What emotional ownership sounds like. Instead of saying, "Left speech bubble, you made me feel worthless," the Stoic says, "Left speech bubble, when that happened, I felt triggered. I want to understand why." Instead of, "Left speech bubble, you never make me happy anymore," say, "Left speech bubble, I've realized I've been depending on you for my peace, and that's not fair to either of us." These are not just words, they're signals of emotional maturity. And maturity is what gives relationships longevity. The Stoic man, the Stoic woman. For men, stop outsourcing your anger. If something hurts, own it, explore it, express it calmly. That's strength. For women, stop expecting your partner to fix what only you can heal. That's freedom. A relationship grounded in Stoicism doesn't require perfection. It requires self-responsibility, honest communication, and a refusal to blame others for your emotional state. The bottom line: emotional ownership is not a technique. It's not a relationship hack. It's a way of life. It's a silent promise to your partner that says, "I will not make you responsible for what I must carry myself, but I will walk beside you with peace, so we can meet as equals, not saviors." And that's how strong love begins. Virtue over emotion, building love on character, not chaos. At the heart of Stoic philosophy lies one guiding principle: live according to virtue. Not emotion. Not impulse. Not pleasure. Virtue. In a world where relationships are often built on fleeting chemistry, emotional highs, and constant drama, Stoicism offers a radically different blueprint. Build your relationship on character. And this isn't just ancient wisdom, it's the foundation of lasting love. What is virtue in a relationship? In Stoic teaching, virtue means wisdom, courage, self-discipline, and justice. Applied to a relationship, it looks like wisdom, honest communication, and deep understanding. Courage, vulnerability, and truth, even when it's hard. Self-discipline, not saying or doing things you'll regret. Justice, treating your partner with fairness, even when emotions run hot. When a relationship is guided by virtue, it becomes stable, mature, and deeply fulfilling. Without virtue, love becomes chaotic, full of reaction, blame, ego, and instability. Emotions are real, but they're not always right. Marcus Aurelius said, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you." That quote is a reminder that feelings are not facts. Emotions should be respected, but not obeyed blindly. When you're upset with your partner, ask, "Is this emotion coming from truth, or my own insecurity? Am I reacting to reality, or to a story I've created in my mind? What would a virtuous person do here? That space between feeling and action, that pause of Stoic awareness, is where real love lives. Character doesn't fluctuate. Attraction does. The world teaches us to chase spark, excitement, and chemistry. Stoicism teaches us to choose character. Why? Because attraction fades. Beauty changes. Emotions rise and fall. But a person of virtue remains reliable, strong, grounded. When a man lives with discipline and honor, he earns a woman's trust. When a woman lives with wisdom and grace, she earns a man's respect. This is not about control. It's about stability. It's about building on bedrock, not sand. What happens when emotion leads? When a relationship is led by emotion and not virtue, it becomes a roller coaster. Every disagreement turns into war. Every bad mood becomes a reason to punish the other. Every insecurity becomes a weapon. Every mistake becomes a meltdown. That's not love. That's emotional addiction. The Stoics teach us to feel, but to never let feelings drive the ship. Love that lasts is led by choices, not impulses. Virtue makes you trustworthy. Seneca wrote, "Only the wise man is truly free." And in a relationship, freedom comes from trust. When you act from virtue, your partner doesn't have to second-guess you. They know your word means something. They know your emotions won't sabotage the connection. They feel safe. And safety is the soil where passion grows, not drama. Virtue isn't perfection. It's alignment. You will mess up. You will feel jealous, annoyed, hurt. That's human. But the Stoic responds by realigning, returning to principle, asking, what's the right thing to do here? What would a wise, loving, disciplined version of me say or choose? That's what creates long-term connection. Not perfection, but returning to virtue when it matters most. The bottom line. A Stoic relationship isn't boring. It's profound. It's not emotionless. It's emotionally intelligent. It doesn't ignore passion. It channels it through strength and character. Build your love on virtue, not chaos. And you'll find that storms come, but your bond stands. Because when emotion fades, character remains. And that's what real love is built on. Speak with purpose, the Stoic art of communication in love. In Stoicism, speech is not just sound. It is a tool for truth, a weapon of wisdom, a reflection of virtue. And in relationships, how you speak and how you listen will either build trust or destroy it. That brings us to the third pillar of strong relationships, Stoic communication. Not passive, not aggressive, but deliberate, grounded, clean. Words create or corrupt connection. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Yet in many relationships, it's the opposite. Too much reaction, too little reflection. We interrupt, assume, project, and defend, when what's truly needed is clarity. Stoic communication isn't about being right. It's about being clear, kind, and in control. You don't yell when you're angry. You don't punish with silence. You don't use sarcasm as a shield. You speak when it matters. You speak with intent. You speak to connect, not to win. Don't speak from the storm. Marcus Aurelius taught, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. In arguments, many people speak from the storm, the place of rage, fear, or ego. They say things they later regret. They use words as weapons. But a Stoic waits for the storm to pass, then speaks from reason. When you speak from calm, you gain clarity. You prevent damage. You protect the relationship. Speaking from emotion might feel powerful in the moment, but it usually causes long-term harm. And the Stoic is not interested in winning moments. He's focused on building something that lasts. What you allow is what you teach. If your partner raises their voice, insults you, mocks your opinions, and you stay silent, you're teaching them that's acceptable. Stoicism teaches self-respect through boundaries. A healthy relationship includes firm, respectful phrases like, "I'm open to talk when we're both calm. Let's pause this if it's turning into attack. I want connection, not control." Clear speech is a sign of a clear mind, and nothing creates deeper respect than someone who can express truth without aggression. Love requires listening. Speaking wisely is powerful, but listening fully is sacred. A Stoic partner listens not to reply, but to understand. They don't interrupt. They don't minimize feelings. They create space for the other to feel seen and heard. Because behind every emotional outburst is usually a deeper message. I don't feel safe. I don't feel understood. I don't feel connected. And sometimes, just listening without fixing is the most healing thing you can do. Keep your word, speak with weight. Seneca reminds us, a promise made must be a promise kept. Your word is your integrity. In strong relationships, trust is built when words and actions align. Don't make threats you won't follow through on. Don't make promises in the heat of emotion. Don't speak to impress, speak to express what's true. When both partners know that what's spoken carries weight, the relationship becomes solid. Silence is also communication. Stoicism also teaches the power of restraint. You don't have to respond to everything. Not every jab deserves a reaction. Not every criticism needs a defense. Sometimes your calm silence says, "I won't engage in disrespect." And that silence protects your peace far more than any comeback ever could. The bottom line: strong communication isn't about volume. It's about alignment. Words that match intention. Listening that creates connection. Silence that honors self-control. The Stoic doesn't just speak, they speak with purpose. And in love, that purpose is always the same. To build, not to break. To connect, not to control. To express truth, not ego. Because the strongest relationships are built not on perfect love, but on clear, conscious and Stoic communication. Consistency builds trust, the Stoic power of being reliable. In a world addicted to quick feelings and short attention spans, one trait has become incredibly rare and incredibly powerful: consistency. Anyone can impress once. Anyone can say the right words when they feel like it. But only a few can show up the same way, again and again, regardless of mood or circumstance. And in Stoicism, this trait isn't optional. It's a core virtue. A Stoic man or woman is not driven by emotional highs or lows. They are guided by principle. And in love, that principle becomes trustworthiness through consistent action. Why consistency matters in relationships. Epictetus taught, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This is the root of integrity. You define your values, and then you live them daily. In a relationship, this creates emotional safety, trust without constant checking, stability through conflict, respect without manipulation. Your partner knows what to expect. Not because you're predictable in a boring way, but because you're rooted in who you are. That's attractive. That's rare. That's powerful. Inconsistency kills connection. Imagine this. One day, they're warm and attentive. The next, cold and withdrawn. One week they say they love you. The next, they punish you with silence. That is emotional instability, not intimacy. Marcus Aurelius warned, "Let your one delight and refreshment be to pass from one act to another with God-given alertness." That means don't live by whim. Live by rhythm. Inconsistent people force their partner to live in fear. What version of them will I get today? Can I speak honestly without setting them off? That promise they made, will it actually happen? No matter how deep the passion is, inconsistency rots trust from the inside out. How a Stoic builds trust through action. A Stoic doesn't just make promises. They become the promise. If you say you'll call, call. If you say you're loyal, prove it. If you say you're working on something, follow through without being reminded. Seneca said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." In love, the opportunity is daily, to show up with presence, discipline, and care, even when you're tired. Especially when you're tired. Because the moments you don't feel like it, that's where trust is truly built. Consistency equals emotional leadership. In relationships, someone must lead emotionally, not by controlling, but by anchoring. That doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means staying grounded even when emotions rise. If both partners spiral together, there's chaos. If one partner stands steady, the other eventually calms down. That steadiness is leadership. And it's forged through consistent self-mastery. The Stoic doesn't scream in arguments. They don't ghost after conflict. They don't give affection only when it benefits them. They show up as who they say they are. Daily. Without drama. Consistency builds long-term passion. Ironically, what most people think kills the spark is actually what creates deeper connection. Routine. Reliability. Predictability. It may sound unromantic, but in the hands of a Stoic, it becomes sacred. Why? Because when your partner never has to question your presence, your values, or your loyalty, they relax. They open. They go deeper. And in that safe space, passion grows, not from chaos, but from certainty. The bottom line. Words can impress. Looks can attract. But only consistency builds trust. A Stoic relationship isn't built on intensity. It's built on emotional discipline, on repeated actions that say, "I don't just love you today, I will love you tomorrow the same way. Not because I feel like it, but because I chose this, and I choose again, with action, not just emotion." That's how trust is built. That's how love becomes unshakable. And that's the Stoic way. Boundaries are love, the Stoic way to protect what matters. In today's culture, boundaries are often misunderstood. Some see them as cold or distant. Others confuse them with walls, shutdowns, or punishments. But in Stoic philosophy, boundaries are none of these things. They are acts of love. They protect what is sacred. They create space where connection can breathe instead of suffocate. A Stoic knows, love without boundaries is not love, it's codependence. And boundaries without love are not Stoic, they're fear. So the fifth foundation of strong relationships is clear. Healthy boundaries, respected, expressed, and enforced. What are boundaries, really? Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That means, your time, energy, mind, body, and values are yours. Boundaries are how you protect that internal freedom within a shared space. Examples of Stoic boundaries. I won't engage in yelling or name-calling. My time for rest and growth is not optional. I will not be manipulated by guilt or threats. I am responsible for my emotions, and I expect the same from you. These aren't walls, they're agreements. Not ultimatums, but standards. When each partner knows their rights, and respects the others, mutual trust grows. Why lack of boundaries destroys relationships? Without boundaries, you say yes when you mean no. You tolerate disrespect in the name of love. You lose yourself trying to keep peace. Marcus Aurelius warned, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." When you violate your own values for the sake of someone else's comfort, you are no longer in a relationship, you're in a quiet war with yourself. And eventually, that war explodes. Setting boundaries is not cruel, it's clear. Too many people confuse silence with patience, and resentment with sacrifice. But the Stoic doesn't allow pain to pile up. They speak, calmly but firmly. "This doesn't feel right to me. Here's what I need to feel respected. This behavior crosses a line. And if the other person can't accept that, The Stoic walks, without drama, without rage, just with peace. Because a partner who resists your boundaries isn't loving you, they're trying to own you. How to enforce boundaries the Stoic way. Enforcing boundaries is not about control. It's about self-leadership. When a line is crossed, don't explode. Respond with stillness. Don't punish. State consequences calmly. Don't repeat yourself endlessly. Let actions speak. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Boundaries will be tested. That's normal. What matters is how you respond. A tested boundary is a chance to reveal your inner strength, and the more you uphold it, the more your partner learns. This is a person I cannot manipulate. This is a person I must respect. Boundaries deepen intimacy. Ironically, people fear setting boundaries because they think it'll drive their partner away. But here's the Stoic truth: clear boundaries invite deeper connection. Why? Because when both people feel safe, respected, and seen, they can relax. There's no need to second guess. No emotional guessing games. Just honesty and peace. And peace is the space where real intimacy thrives. The bottom line: love without boundaries turns into chaos. But love with boundaries becomes sacred. A Stoic doesn't shout about their limits. They don't threaten. They simply say, "This is who I am. This is what I allow. This is what I walk away from." And in doing so, they teach others how to treat them, not by force, but by example. So if you want a relationship that lasts, don't avoid hard conversations. Don't abandon your values to keep someone close. Set the boundary. Hold the line. And love yourself, and them, enough to make it non-negotiable. That's not selfish. That's Stoic. The Stoic relationship, built on strength, guided by virtue. Strong relationships are not built on passion alone. They're not held together by constant validation, emotional games, or romantic highs. They are built the same way the Stoics built their lives. On discipline, clarity, consistency, and virtue. What does that mean in practice? It means a man who chooses stillness over reaction. A woman who values self-respect over emotional manipulation. Two people who walk beside each other, not because they need to, but because they choose to. Let's rewind what you've learned. Over this video series, we've broken down the Stoic foundations of real love. Green circle: emotional ownership. No one is responsible for your inner state but you. Green circle: virtue over emotion. Let character guide your love, not fleeting feelings. Green circle: intentional communication. Speak clearly, listen deeply, and pause before you act. Green circle: consistency. Show up the same way every day, regardless of your mood. Green circle: boundaries. Love must be free to say no in order to say yes with integrity. These principles aren't just nice ideas. They're the bedrock of peaceful relationships. They create safety without control, freedom without distance, love without losing yourself. And isn't that what most people are truly craving? Stoicism doesn't suppress love, it strengthens it. Too often, Stoicism is misunderstood. People think it's about being emotionally numb, cold, detached. But that's not Stoicism. That's fear wearing a mask. True Stoicism means embracing life fully, but doing so with wisdom. You feel love. You express affection. You care deeply. But you do so from a place of inner strength, not emotional dependency. Marcus Aurelius never said to avoid emotion, he said to master yourself within it. That's the difference between reactive love and rooted love. You're not just building a relationship, you're building a life. A real relationship is more than a feeling. It's a shared mission. A place where two sovereign individuals come together to amplify one another. Not to complete each other, but to sharpen each other. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." Ask yourself, does your relationship help you grow in virtue? Does it challenge your weakness with love? Does it reward your discipline with trust? If the answer is yes, nurture it. If the answer is no, ask why you remain. Because the Stoic does not stay in relationships where virtue dies. The Stoic path is not easy, but it's clear. This isn't the easy route. It's far easier to blame your partner, ride emotional waves, and avoid tough conversations. But the Stoic path isn't about easy, it's about right. And the right path leads to a kind of relationship most people only dream of. One rooted in clarity, not confusion. One that inspires, rather than drains. One that can face storms, and remain standing. Not because it's perfect, but because the people in it are committed to growth over comfort. Final words: choose virtue, choose strength, choose peace. If you want to build something rare and lasting, stop chasing superficial compatibility. Start cultivating inner character. Start embodying the principles we've explored. Let your love be a reflection of your discipline, a mirror of your self-respect, a space where both of you are free, yet deeply connected, because that is the Stoic relationship. Not loud, not dramatic, not performative, but deeply powerful, built on action, held by virtue, and anchored in peace. So now you know. Now you choose. Be the partner you would want to be with. Lead with strength, not emotion. And love with intention, not attachment. That's not just Stoic advice. That's the blueprint for unshakable love.